Hello guys and welcome back to Soulful Stories. Here with me, your host, Crazy Ass Zombie, aka the Medium Scott. I also have with me
PPL
and Brian. You said APA.
Did I?
Yeah, we'll leave it in.
Fucking hell, man.
APA, there you go, whatever that is. So today, you know what we like here. So today we are doing your questions that you have asked me the most about. These guys will just put in their input and ask me different things as we go along. But yes, anybody want to say anything before I start?
No.
Oh, suit yourself. Just want to say thanks for all the support from most of you. It's lovely. Really appreciated. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, you will see that we are rocking my Father's Day gift, our new T-shirts. You will have seen these on TikTok.
That's it, guys. Father's Day T-shirts.
Yeah, they are promoting us. These will be worn out. Hopefully get some more viewers and attract more people to our channel. But you know what, I'm not one to get talking, so I'll just start with the questions, otherwise we'll be here till 1 o'clock in the morning. So the main question that I always get asked is, how long have I been a medium, or how long have I been able to communicate with the spirit world? And Liam can weigh in on this one as well, because he's a medium. But generally for me...
I thought it was an extra large.
Well, you've grew up to be an XXL.
5XL. That's Brandon's T-shirt.
Oh,
Keep my name out your mouth.
I knew that was coming. Oh, God. So I am what you call a natural born medium, which means that I've been doing this from birth. Yeah. So I've been doing it from birth, really, and it's like I told this story on TikTok a couple of weeks ago by the time this gets out. But I was about 11 or 12 and I had a dream about a girl who looked exactly like my mum. And I just remember her coming in and she just said, "I'm your sister." Didn't really remember much more. And then I just remember waking up and saying to my mum, "I had the weirdest dream, Mum, that there was a girl in the spirit world and she said she was my sister." And obviously, being 12, my one day go, "Oh, well, you know, I had a miscarriage before you." But as I've got older, she, you know, when we talk, she did tell me that she had a baby before me, but through miscarriage. And I do believe that it was a girl. So, yeah, I kind of brought stuff through like that. And then I had dreams about cars being taken and stuff like that. That kind of came true.
Can I just butt in?
Push can.
So, you know, when you said, was that your sister that came in?
Yeah.
Was she a baby or did she grow?
No, she grew. She was like, even though she'd only passed a year before me, she came through. Oh, I don't know, probably I would have put her in her teenage years, about 15, 16. Yeah, and she looked exactly like my mum.
Oh, God, we don't fucking have her around.
I know, God, could you imagine? Whew, hot damn.
They'd have been as loud mouths as you are.
Liam have had 2 of them.
Behave.
2 seconds of fame.
Oh, God, I know you.
There's your plug.
Plugged you in, mother, 2 seconds of fame.
It's actually 3 seconds I was counting.
So, obviously, and then I had dreams about stuff being taken and cars and all that kind of stuff. And then I'd just have random dreams of me flying over valleys. And, you know, you just think, oh, I'm a kid, I'm dreaming stuff. But they were just out-of-body experiences from which I learnt about in meditation. But I've been officially working with the spirit world for 17 years this year. Come maybe June-ish time. It's about 17 years. And the other question is, well, how did I know that I was a medium, or how did I get into being a medium or mediumship and spiritualism? And so I'll jump right onto that one now, because that's pretty much how long I've been a medium, 16 years, just a bit of background. I will do a video on YouTube. I've got Carol and Lil's pictures over there, and I do want to give them their own video because they deserve that time and energy. But I met Lil. No, sorry, we met Gary first, didn't we? He was the mayor of Walsall at the time, Councillor Gary Perry, and I just got out of premiering, I'm sure I had, and I was a bit down, depressed, didn't know where I was going in life. And so they just kind of wrote me in, because she was already kind of going out with them at the time, wasn't you? You was...
Yeah, I was one of the Challenge 100 people.
Yeah, he got an award at school and everything from the mayor for...
Everybody was like, what the fuck's he here for? Why is he on an award?
Yeah, but what they didn't understand is that Liam was dedicating loads of his time out to charities and stuff.
Made some good money, got a Chinese out of it.
Yeah. Bless him. So, yeah, so...
Do anything for a takeaway, wouldn't he?
It wasn't even...
Shout out. Don't go into the mic.
I'm sorry. So, they just...
What question are we on?
You will be able to read them. I'll show you the book in a minute, but yeah, they're just there. These will be able to read them because my writing's terrible.
Scared of spirit.
Oh, God, there you go. You can read.
Question number 2.
No, was you scared of spirit?
No, I ain't on that one yet. I'm leading into my question so I can make it formatted.
Number 1?
Now, I've just finished number 1, and now I'm going into number 2.
That's 6 minutes just to get one question.
Well, yeah, because they've got to be detailed a little bit. That I just want, this is how I did it. Question 2.
How long you been a medium? A long time.
16 years. Question 3.
What's your fucking bra size?
34C. You know what I mean? The one with a little bit of
What's your birth name?
background.
Darren.
Robin on a weekend. She'll like it. She unplugged it again. Look at his face.
Cut that out.
Just banter Robin.
She knows. Oh, God, you were in the chat the other day. Anyway, let's just go on with the questions, otherwise we'll be here all night. So, we went to Brownhills Excelsior Church, Spiritualist Church up in Brownhills. And there was only a few of us in there, wasn't there? But I ended up with a reading, and it came through, and this medium said, you can do mediumship, and you got all these powerful crystals running around your head. I don't understand crystals, I'll be honest, as I've always said. And then Lil kind of just walked up to us, didn't she? And she was just like, you're a natural born medium, we've got to get you working. And I didn't know what to feel, really, or what to say, because what do you say to that? Or how do you go about talking about it? So I just kind of went, oh, okay, thanks. And then we left it at that. And then we went back a couple of more times. And about the 3rd time, maybe the 4th time at max, she kept coming over and she said, look, come round my house. I only live on Beachdale. I said, well, I'm only a few streets over from you. I said, come round and I'll give you something that you can use to practice your mediumship on. And it was just literally a bunch of ribbons on a little coil, wasn't it?
It wasn't little.
No, that then was Lil's ribbons on, about just the one I had, the little circle thing with about 12 different colours on. So I went round, she gave me the ribbons, and she just said get people to give them a little bit of a rubber feel for a few minutes, and then take them back off them, get them to pick 3, and give them a reading from them ribbons. And I just thought, what the fucking hell's this woman on about? You know, I was listening and trying to take it all in, because again, it's something really new, and... You know, I listened, I trusted her. I came back round here, gave a few people a few readings. Yeah. I gave Mum's friend, Mrs. one, Gaunty, and I gave her a few things about her son coming to her in tears and emotions, and something hasn't worked. And I said, it's the younger one, and she went, no. She said, no chance. She said, he don't show emotion or anything. And I think it was, again, 2 or 3 weeks later, she come down and she's just like, I can't believe that you was right.
Yeah.
He broke down and he'd come out of a relationship, and yeah, so what I pretty much said in the reading transpired. So again, it kind of just snowballed from there. And then I went back round to Lil's about 2 or 3 months later after using these ribbons. And so she said, okay, that's fine. She said, you need to come with me anyway, because I've got you. I want you to give somebody a reading with these ribbons. And it turned out to be Lil's daughter Jane, who is a fantastic ribbon reader. She's a very, very, very good medium. just like Lil was, but Jane doesn't work, but she has like a nursery for spirit children. So if there's any lost spirit, do you know? You do now. So if there's any lost spirit children or children that are not ready to pass over for any reason, they can go to Jane's, and as long as they abide by her rules, which is don't turn the cooker on, don't mess about while I'm out, she lets them stay, and you get some crazy energies in Jane's. But anyway, so I ended up giving her a ribbon reading, and then they both went in the kitchen, and Lil come back and says, yeah, she said, you did really well, fantastic. And I was a bit worried, thinking, are they just saying that, And then about a month later, because she said, just keep on using them, keep working, meditate, because we used to lie on the bed, hadn't we? And Angelis, and that was the CD she gave me, wasn't it? That's the one. And we used to just meditate on my bed and
Fall asleep.
Sometimes fall asleep.
Every time fall asleep.
He did.
Every time.
Mostly.
I'd wake up and you're there. I'm like, Scar, I'm meditating. Fuck off.
Right, no secrets here, is there? So...
Oh, since we've been banned. Sorry. So
I'm on my first warning. If I get two more, I'll be kicked off.
Oh, man.
I know. Second account.
I literally said that. Anyway, so... Again, just through meditation, she said, oh, you're going to come and sit with a medium, because obviously we would just want to get you to start feeling what it's like to work tables. And at the time, there was this lady called Joyce who used to run the cabin in, is it Heath Hayes? It is, ain't it? Up by is it the 5-Way Island or the 7-Way Island?
It's not Heath Hayes.
No, it's not Heath Hayes.
Summit cabin.
It doesn't matter. It's not there anymore anyway, but she ran... Yeah, she used to run the cabin.
Well, they try and pick it up and take it away.
No, they demolished it, because it was a car park quarry. So they just demolished it in the end. It's a shame, because it was a lovely place. It wasn't a proper church. Like I say, it was literally a cabin that, you can go and work in and have offices in. And we used to have the church the one end, and then there's the kitchen the other end with a couple of toilets. And we used to help them raise money. We used to go the last Saturday of every month and give readings. There's only charging $12.50 at the time, and obviously all the proceeds went to them, and they just brought us like fish and chips and cake, and Judy and Chris would look after us, make sure we got drinks and whatever we needed. And we just raised money for them, just giving back, which is what I always talk about. And anyway, so it was an event for that lady at the Green Heath Club, I think it's called. It's at the back of Ensford anyway. I'm sure that's where we were. And we pulled up outside, and Lil went to me, Scott, I've got to tell you something. And I went, Lil, I already know I'm working. And she just bust out laughing. And I went, yeah, Spirit kind of already pre-warned me that you was doing this to me. And she went, well, you'll either sink or swim, my lovely. No, not my lovely, babe. That was Lil's word, babe. And I went, I know. And I went, you'll be nervous. I said, and that's good. I said, but just give what you get. Trust. Like you've been doing in Circle and stuff. And it turned out to be a really good night. And then from there, it really snowballed, because I got accepted into the group. I used to go out with Lil, Carol, and another medium that we shall not name. She doesn't deserve the recognition. But there was 4 of us, and they set up their own little group. Can't remember what they were called when it was all 3 of them. Can you? It was Angel Summit. Anyway, there was 3 of them. Lil, Carol, somebody else, and then I kind of tagged in as the new guy, and there was getting me used to the circuit, as it's called, and where you go and other mediums. And then that relationship kind of just broke down. She wanted to go into stage work and stuff and push herself out that way. We wished her nothing but good luck. We were all friends. It didn't kind of work out. And then all of a sudden, Lil had slagged her off. Me and Carol had wished her nothing but bad luck. And apparently we'd all turned our backs on her. And yeah, we were the shit on a shoe. So that kind of brought that relationship down. So then it became Lil and Carol and me. Obviously, it was always going to be Lil and Carol and me, which is fine. I wasn't expecting anything different. So they called themselves Gemini because they were always called sisters. Because even though they weren't related, you had Lil Scott and Carol Scott. And then I was Scott. So we ended up becoming the three Scotts in the end. And we always used to work together. We did churches together. So that's pretty much how all that came about for me in about a year and a half. Within 6 months, I was up and running, working. And within a year, I was doing churches with them, events, off to Wales,
International medium, yeah.
to Ford Village Hall. Yeah, we used to go to another place. Down in Darkpool, I'm sure it was something like that, which was a good hour's drive, and we used to do that once a month on the last Tuesday of every month. I mean, the laughs that I had with Lil and Carol, I mean, it was just one of the best times of my life. Stupid as it sounds, and I know they were like 50 and 60-year-olds, you know, but they were so funny, down to earth, up for a laugh, you know. They wasn't disgusted by anything. We was always in the gutter. The only one rule: we don't talk politics. We didn't talk politics because not everybody agreed. It caused arguments. So the one rule is you do not bring politics up. So yeah, that was pretty much, in a nutshell, how I got rolling forward and stuff. Oh, what was I saying? Was I ever scared of spirits? No. Growing up, I mean, you might remember, you know, my dad would always tell us, you know, the spirit world's real, ghosts are real. You know, I don't really talk highly of my dad, and there are reasons for that. But, you know, there's a couple of things that I will always say about him, and keeping, you know, spirits around you and alive, and, you know, the stuff that he and my mum used to hear. My granddad Jack, never met him, but he used to have this like chesty cough, and when he'd walk up the stairs, he used to cough. Obviously, he must have had COPD or whatever as well, but he used to cough as he walked up the stairs. And when they first moved into number 1, they were both upstairs in bed, and then all of a sudden, all you heard was somebody walking up the stairs and then coughing like he used to do. And obviously both of them were shit scared because they'd just moved in, or sure somebody broke in or something. But then when my dad kind of stopped and thought, he was like, yeah, it was me dad. So again, it was just kind of letting you know that he was around. And then we had that episode as well with my Uncle Craig again at number 1.
Did everyone hear that?
What?
The noise going up the stairs?
There was only my mum and dad in the house at the time.
And the both heard it?
Yeah, them two did. I was still a baby.
Okay.
I was probably 1 or 2 when they moved in there. Yeah, I was about 1, so I wouldn't have remembered or heard it. But yeah, my mum and dad did. Something that they always told us. I mean, and then we had a voice. There was laying carpets. Again, this is like when they were first moving in, and both my uncles were down there at the time. And the one went out to the coal shed to get something, and in his ear, all he heard was, "It's locked." And it was locked, and he come in and shit himself, saying, "Which one of you bastards just come out there and whispered in my ear it's locked?" None of them had left the house. So that kind of gave him a fright. But again, you know, I always say spirit don't waste energy, so they was trying to tell him, don't bother going out there, it's locked, but did I listen? You know, people want lottery numbers, spirit help out in the smallest ways, and it's as stupid as it can be, but it's stuff like that which means a lot. So for me personally, no, spirits have never scared me. Growing up, probably the scaredest I would say I was, and again this was because I was maybe 13, 14. Do you remember the clock flying off the TV? The little gold clock with the handle. We was watching Most Haunted, and we were just sitting there watching Most Haunted, and I shit you not, the dance, now we all remember, The gold clock, it was like a gold clock with a bit of an handle, an old-fashioned kind of thing, and it must have flew 3 or 4 feet into the middle of the living room. That scared me a little bit, but again, that was because we was watching Mouse Daunted, didn't expect it to happen, caught me off guard. But yeah, that honestly would probably be the only time I was scared. Have you ever been scared by spirit, Liam?
It's a bit odd, really. I mean, I always used to be scared of the dark, so I mean,
Well, yeah, you did.
But I'll get around to that.
16.
21.
9 and 10.
But I think the scariest things that ever happened was when we was watching Mouse Daunted and the light thing
Oh, and it unscrewed.
and smashed on the floor. And it was just like,
that was another bit of a shocking one. Yeah,
That's
you know,
crazy.
no vibrations.
Yeah.
You know,
Was this while your dad was still here?
yeah.
Yeah.
This was in this house. We got the ceiling.
Fan.
Was it in this house?
Yes.
Yeah, because the light's been changed, hasn't it? Yes, yeah. It was in this house. We had a ceiling fan. Ceiling fan wasn't on. Shut up! And we were all watching Mouse Daunted. And then, go on, carry on.
And it unscrews itself and it's a floor and shatters.
It shatters.
I would have shit bricks.
But I remember that we used to have an old wind-up clock as well. We don't wind up for fucking months and
With-
months and months.
With a key thing, yes.
And then I remember we were watching Mouse Daunted, and it just started fucking bonging.
Chiming.
Oh.
Yeah,
Bong,
yeah.
Bong, bong.
That was the one that he thought was worth thousands. It was worth like a tenner. They used to sit on the fireplace, yeah. Yeah.
My nan and granddad used to have one of those clocks. It was a nice. It
You have
wasn't.
to fucking wind it up every week.
No, I don't think they wound it up, but it made a noise
This one was
every
like,
hour.
This one was just like a wooden thing, and it kind of went down like that, and then flat at the bottom was a clock in the middle, mechanism in the back. He was convinced it was worth thousands, and he had a key that you had to wind it up with. It was worth nothing, but he was convinced it was, and yet it wasn't wound up, it wasn't working, and then it did go off.
Scary.
Have you ever been scared by any spirits or anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I've been scared of multiple things, but I wouldn't be able to say, oh yeah, that was spirit. There was a time when, a few years ago, me and Liam was in the bedroom watching TV, and it kept flickering, didn't he? Do you remember?
Yes, the black TV.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you the whole story.
Yes, go for it.
We was arguing over what to have for tea.
Shock, horror.
If it was pizza, Chinese, McDonald's.
No, but that time it would have been Chicken Palace.
Well, I was saying my
It was
usual.
actually too early for Chicken Palace, if I'm honest. It was
Oh.
proper early on in the relationship.
It's very much a back and forth. Oh, let's have a takeaway, and I say, no, we'll cook. We don't end up cooking anyway.
As you can tell.
Speak for yourself. Um,
But first, let me take a selfie.
I don't know.
the TV kept flickering, and then Liam thought it was his brother Jake, right? And then he asked a question like, "If that's you, Jake, make it flicker again." It did. And then he asked like, "Is it stupid that we're arguing about what to have for tea?" And it flickered again. So I wouldn't say it was scary, but it was defo.
People was like, oh my god.
I was like, bloody hell!
There's your,
I brought
it's
one-
real. There's your evidence. It's real.
I brought a new TV.
Yeah, my brother possessed the other fucker.
This one's on the blink.
This one's on the blink, that's good. So, question 4 is, what's the best way to, refine down the evidence you get from spirit world and how to give it across? And 90% of that,
It's hard sometimes.
it is hard, but 90% is you and your guides and inspirers in the spirit world. You all have to work together. And this will answer another question that was a bit further on, but it is 50-50. It's 50% me, it's 50% them. And without them, I can't work, and without me, they can't work. So you have to come up with a system where this is acceptable, this isn't acceptable, and we just work together then and decide which is the best way to bring through information. And obviously, the older you get, the more life experience you get. It's easier for spirit to go, well, do you remember when this happened? And then they drop a little bit of a link in your head, and you go, okay, not you kind of what you're kind of telling me. That don't make sense, but anyway. I'm going to stab him in a minute with a pen.
One thing I want to ask is, when we talk about refining information, how is it portrayed across? Is it like, you know, when you talk to yourself in your head and you've got that internal voice, or do they show you things?
It's both.
Can you see them in your head?
Sometimes I can see them. It depends how close they want to come. The closer they come, the easier and the better the information gets. Let's just be honest, okay? If somebody's standing back, and by I mean standing back is it's a four-way conversation. It's your loved one talking to my guide, who talks to me, and then I'm talking to whoever it is that's having the message. And then I'm listening to you, trying to listen to them, and still pick up on what evidence they're giving me.
Do they always talk to the guide, or do they talk to you directly?
Sometimes they can talk to me, but generally it is just through my guide, because my guide will know where to point me to give me the right information, because that spirit doesn't know how I work, where my guide does.
But your guide will be like, "Now say it like this." He understands it like that.
And then give him this symbol, or they'll give me this symbol, and
I'm with you.
it'll make it a little easier, because
You're not in the same shed, hello.
you know, because if I needed, say, me and my dad getting on again, so if I know that if a loved one came through, instead of them standing there for 10 minutes kind of going, you know, well, they might not like the dad, or the day like this, or the day like that, my guide will go, your dad. And I'll go, okay, so now I know that you didn't get on with your dad, you didn't say eye to eye, there was banging of heads, you know, stuff like that. If I know somebody's being a little bit untruthful around you, he'll give me my gold coin. And the yoga gold coin, well, I used to work with a pharaoh, and he's the one that gave it to me. And as he rubbed this gold coin, it turned to copper, so it's fool's gold. And that just means that somebody around you is just trying to bullshit you. He's not being honest. He's not giving you the full 100%. So just be wary. What others have I got? I mean, there's loads. If I get purple, it's sleep. If I get orange, it's frustration. If I get a horse in a field, I know that you need to get out more. If I get a horse that stands next to me, I know that you personally can take a horse, i.e. either you rid horses, bred them, or there was looked after or something like that. But yeah, so there's a lot of symbols, and this is what I talk about when I'm working. You know, it's not just that they step in and give me all this information and I just chuck it out. I have to understand the symbols and what them kind of saying. Names are just names. Sometimes they will give them to me as clear as day, like Annie, May, Mavis, Scott, Daniel. Sometimes if they're a little bit hard, like Benjamin or something like that, it gets a little bit befuddled. Don't know why. Not sure if it's just because I'm stupid and I don't always understand every kind of name, but when they give them to me, I do give them out if they say the name 3 or 4 times, because names can be very generic. You know, everybody knows a May, everybody knows a Bill and a Will and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So names for me really aren't as evidential as literally what I can give you as evidence, i.e. what's going on in your life. So, but to retain the information, I don't. Once I've refined it and I've given it out, it's not for me to remember. And this is what I kind of hate with people who can remember messages, because you're not supposed to. The message isn't for you. It's just you're used as a vessel to give the message. And, you know, other people have come up to me and gone, oh, you gave me a message 2 years ago. Okay, did I?
Did I? Yeah.
Literally. You know what I mean? It's not for me to remember. Unless it's really, really good evidence, you know, like on TikTok I've given a few good bits, like the Cheltenham. That'll be remembered. I won't remember all the message, but I'll remember that bit because it was something that she said she couldn't take. And then 5 minutes later went, oh my God, yeah, I worked at Cheltenham and I had a picture taken with a winning horse. So that is something that just sticks in your head because it was good evidence. And it wasn't just good evidence, it was evidence that she kind of said no to and then went, oh my God, yes, I can. And then the other one is the ostrich egg. Again, I just knew that this man in the spirit world liked all kinds of eggs and he was showing me all different ones. And the lady could understand it.
Never had an ostrich egg.
Neither have I. I don't even know you could. Like, I mean, I know you see it on I'm a Celeb, but that's different.
Yeah, literally.
You know, I didn't know you could buy them, but he showed me an
You
ostrich
can buy
egg.
them.
I don't know, that's what I mean. But she said it wasn't an ostrich egg, but he did like all kinds of big eggs, stuck eggs and everything.
Yeah. Quail.
Yeah, so, you know, little bits like that you do remember, but it's not for the fact that, oh, I want to remember all your message. It's just the small bits of good evidence that kind of stick in your brain and you kind of give it out then as examples, which I'm doing now, and I do on TikTok.
You know, when you say the step in,
Yeah.
are you talking literally like when you close your eyes, what do you see? Is it just dark?
Darkness.
And then do you see them visually? No.
Not all the time. When you see me close my eyes, that's just because I'll, especially on TikTok, there's loads of energies trying to all jump in. And when I do start working, when I shut up talking and I do work, obviously the first one that steps in is the first one that I work with. That doesn't mean that other energies won't try and jump in. So when I do close my eyes, it's just literally so I can say to me guides without me saying it out loud, just make sure you keep the other energies back. Let's just focus on this energy and keep giving me the evidence.
Yeah, you can at Waitrose for 20 quid.
Oh, get me to Waitrose.
Boom.
20 quid?
20 pounds.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, but the ostrich egg's like
I was gonna
12 of a normal egg.
I was gonna say it's about that big.
Yeah, but it
12.
doesn't cost you that much.
It does these days. Anyway.
Anyway.
So yeah.
We'll do a separate podcast on
Yeah, we'll
eggs.
do a separate podcast on that one. So
What
just
eggs can you buy around the world?
so just closing my eyes, I don't really see anything. When I say the step in, I literally mean they step in. They step into my energy. When I open up, they kind of I ask them to come in on the right side, they leave out the left side. So always the right hand side does me, goes all goosebumpy. Sometimes they'll make my head hurt, so I know I've got dementia. If they make it really hurt, it might be aneurysm, or I know I would have had a knock to the head. Sometimes they will clarify which one it is, sometimes they won't. You know, it's just pick of your luck, unfortunately. But again, you will see mostly that they do tap my chest, so I can understand chest. I do understand like lower parts like IBS or irritable bowel. That is IBS, you bloody idiot, I know. Or indigestion, anything like that. And then obviously for the cancer, I always get like a tinny taste, a metal taste in my mouth, and then they will kind of point to where it was or if it was in the body. So they will, when I say I feel the energy as well,
Keep yawning, sorry.
it's alright, it's because of build up of energies, because we're talking about spirit. When I say I feel energies, it's kind of like a wavelength, and sometimes it can be up here, sometimes it's down here. So then I know where I'm working, and I use my height as an example. I'm about 5'7", so if they're standing just up here, I know you're looking 5'10". If they're standing just at my shoulder, I know you're looking at 5'2", 5'3", and that's how I kind of work with the heights and the energies. Yeah. And then when they talk again, I just use my guide, and then I kind of just, it gets dropped in here, literally like a thought, and then it comes out my gob, sometimes too fast. But
Wrong order.
sometimes they do talk that fast, and they try and give off that much evidence and energy, because obviously they can't stand around for an hour and a half and keep talking. They do have things to do over there. But and it does cost them energy, and it costs me energy. So they try and give what they can as quick as they can, and then they go back to whatever they need to do.
This is a good question, because Brandon wants to know what are you and what are the different ones, like a clairaudient and a clairvoyant.
This is where you've got old school and you've got new school. Old school, I would have been classed as a clairvoyant, because I can feel them, feel their energies, and there would have been another one that I'm classed as. But there's clairaudient, there's clairsentient. Sentient is the one I am, sorry, because I get all the senses, my bad. Clairaudient is when you hear them.
When you see 'em.
I can't remember the one that sees them. There's another clairaudient for that. And again, that's all very old school and SNU style of mediumship. I am an independent, so I just work with the spirit world. I sometimes can work psychically, which means if I'm not making a spiritual connection with you, I can drop my energies down psychically and I'll pick up on your ailments and what's going on in your life that way. You use your colours of your clothes because what you wear, believe it or not, will represent how you're feeling.
Well, I'm wearing some new merch.
Well, I know we are, yeah.
Quite nice, actually.
Clairvoyance is seeing them.
Yeah,
Clairaudient is hearing them. Clairsentient is feeling them.
which is what I do.
And then claircognizant is knowing about spirits without hearing or seeing them.
And I'm not that one. So, I'm just one of them four. But, you know, as long as you know that you work with spirits, it doesn't really matter what clairaudient you are. That's just something you can put on your resume to sell yourself, which is something I don't really intend to do. I just enjoy working with the spirit world. I do hear them sometimes. I do see them very rarely, but I just know that they give me evidence, comes out my gob, and generally it is 99% right. Let's be honest. But to test yourself really is you've got to get in a circle. If you are a big believer in the spirit world, or even if you don't believe it but you just want to kind of test the waters, you need to find a circle. You need to find a circle that's got a medium running the circle. Again, you will have to pay. Some churches, you know, I mean, I used to go to Bloxreach because obviously I've just taken a step back, so I can focus on doing this. You know, I used to pay $5 a week, which is fine. You know, we used to go in, we do all kinds of different activities to work with the spirit world. We used to blindfold each other and then get, you know, used to walk to somebody and sit down, and while you got the blindfold on, work with just the spirit world in a trust,
God, I remember doing that.
in a trust thing, you know,
I
and
hate doing that.
and then there's like you leaving the room, and then somebody sits on the chair, pushes all their energy into the chair, you come back in, and then you feel the energies, you talk about what energies you've picked up, and then you feel like you can go where you're going. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, but that's the whole process of learning, and that is a big thing that you have to be able to accept, especially when you're first starting. You're not always going to be right, and the spirit world will do things to test your trust. You know, they're not stupid, and they will know if you're giving 110% or if you're only giving 80. If you're only going to give 80, they'll only give 80. And if you are still going to sit there and not trust yourself, then spirit world will also show you, well, if you ain't going to trust yourself, we ain't going to trust you. And it sounds stupid and cruel, but it's the truth, is it not?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, even if you trust and you believe, they will always, one time, and only once, they will not show up until the very last second. And they will leave you thinking, oh my God, where are you? And how do I know? Because it's happened to Lil, it happened to Carol, and it has happened to me. And you think, fuck, I've got nothing, and we've just done the song, and now I've got to open up in prayer, and then I've got to stand up and give mediumship, and you've got nothing, and you are sweating. And I mean, talk about a twitchy arsehole. Yeah. But then, you know, I've given the prayer, and then I've sat back down, and then boom, they've just stepped right in. And it's just, they want to show you that you've got to have that trust that no matter what, whether it be the last second or 3 hours before, some people like to build up their energies. I don't know why, because that just knackers me out. You know, some people go, oh, well, I was driving to the supermarket at 12 o'clock, and I was saying to Spirit, what am I going to talk about? And I'm thinking, why the fuck are you asking him at 12 o'clock? You know what I mean?
I remember, yeah. Something
Why?
Like, like I was sitting at home, and I knew I was going to this church,
Yeah.
and I was asking Spirit, what should I do the prayer on?
Yeah.
You know, what should I bring up? And
Why?
I chat some bollocks about your, you know, having some appreciation for your grandmothers and your grandparents, because, you know,
Yeah.
it was what they brought you up.
Philosophy, yep.
Yeah, and I just thought, this fucking hell.
And yeah, and I just don't know why you do that. I
The
mean,
animal kingdom, they're giving them all that stuff. And,
yeah,
you know.
and you will find that a lot with the SNU, unfortunately. I don't want to seem like I'm slagging off the SNU. It's just that for me, they're very robotic.
What is SNU?
Spiritual National Union. That is what. That's where I went to the other week at Arthur Findlay College, and I went just to kind of get my own perspective because we've always been told, yes, that SNU is very robotic, and it's not that I didn't believe Lil or Carol or other mediums.
Think of it as like a Bible, it never changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it wasn't that I didn't believe him. It's just nice for you to go and just have that little bit of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Would I go again? No. Was it a nice place? Yes.
Could you take pictures?
No.
Could you take videos?
No.
But did you?
Could you even fart?
Yes, just about. Like, don't get me wrong, the tutors and that seem nice, but they also kind of had that little bit of arrogance, in my opinion. And it's when I say like that you have to show that you are working. When I was there, she said, "Is there anybody that's willing to come up?" And of course, me, big bollocks, dickhead, standard, put my hand up. Don't bother me. And so I went to the front, and she said, "Is there anybody else that would like to come and give it a go as well before we start?" And then this other lady put her hand up, and once I stepped in that energy, I was ready to work. So she said, "Where do you feel like you're going?" I said, "I know where I'm going. I'm going to this lady here," which turned out to be Tracy, who then was the...
First she asked who you are and how long you've been in your mediumship and all that.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did ask who I was, where I'd learnt, and I said, "I'm independent." "Oh, you're independent?" "Yes." Well, how long have you been doing spirit? How long have you been communicating with spirits? "About 16 years now." "Oh, that's fantastic. Them should have a good time." And I thought, challenge accepted, bitch. Literally. Again, I don't like to be like that, but if you're going to come across at me, then you're going to get it. I don't need to be like that because I'm, as you guys always say, I'm just a very easygoing person. But for you, when people say stuff and you kind of pick up on it like, "Oh, okay, let's go then." So she said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to this lady here." And she went, "Oh, Tracy's coming to you." And I thought, fuck me. Trust me to pick the one person that she knows in the room. Literally.
Click.
Yeah. And she went, "Okay." And she went, "What you got for her?" "I want to got your dad." And I went, "I know he's this tall." Hold on now. How was he as a father? Well, can I finish giving off what I was going to say first? No, how was he as a father? "Oh, okay." He was a bit stepped back, He was there, but he didn't do anything, He had an authority figure, but he was just kind of in the background. Mom did everything. Yes, I can understand that. And then I kind of get her army links and this and that. And then, well, what branch of the army was he? What does it fucking matter? She's just accepted that she can take the army. Why has it got to be always 100%? I can't say that word.
Specific.
Yeah, specific.
Wouldn't that be considered psychically as well? Because he's not telling you that.
Exactly. So this is what I say. Sometimes with SNU, you've got to dot the I's, cross the T's, and then also dot the I's and cross the T's again. But I think he was army, and I said army, and she said yeah.
Just for the record, this is our opinion.
It is our opinion, and I'm entitled to it. And if you guys want to believe in SNU and that's fine. I'm just giving my opinion. We'll just leave that one there. So yeah, and then I gave it a bit more and a bit more, and it was like, well, what was this and what was that and what colour was the day? And I'm just like, fucking hell. It was always like, it didn't matter what you give, they always wanted a little bit more and a little bit more. And it's like, I tell you what, right, give me your name and your address, and you'd still want me to fucking put the date down when they moved in there, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I'm a very big believer in giving, the evidence that you can give, but not everyone is always going to be able to give you exactly everything, because they might not have learnt that much, they might not have progressed that far, they might not have even worked with the guides to give that kind of evidence, and that's something that has to be taken into consideration. You know, luckily I've been doing it long enough where I could kind of answer her questions, but say if I'd only been doing that maybe 3 or 4 years, that would have knocked my confidence, because she would have thought, fuck me, I thought I'd get good evidence there, but you know what I mean? They were asking for more and more and more. And then the young girl, bless her, she got up and went, well, how do I follow that? And that is something you should never say. And I never heard her say that. She told me that as she came back, because I didn't hear what she said at all. I just come back and sat down. And she did another fantastic reading. And again, she was in circle just learning. I think she said she'd been learning for about 3 years. And she came back and she went, oh my God, you were great. You know, I was worried about following you. And I went, why? And I went, we're all just mediums. I said, we all just give the evidence that we can give, you know. You should never put yourself where you think, oh my God, I've got to follow that, or wow, how am I going to top that? Because then you're already putting in the pressure on yourself. But why have you got to try and prove that you're better than me?
Yeah.
Just be yourself and
put a
give.
block on yourself,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. You just give your own evidence, and you know, you take that into everyday life. If Paula's got the job that you want, don't try and beat Paula. Be better than Paula. Be you and get there your way rather than Paula's way. I've just given a random name because, you know what I mean. There's a lot that we do in life that relates to spiritualism, and that is definitely a big one of them. I did say to her, you know, I said, you did fantastic. I said, your evidence was great. And it was. You know, she said, oh, well, when you went up, she thought, how am I going to follow that? And I just said to her, you don't need to worry about me. You worry about yourself. Just give your evidence. You know, there's no need for this big-headedness. There really ain't. And as you can see, it really don't bother me. How fast can mediumship happen? Again, mediumship is dependent on you. It's how much time and energy are you going to give to learn your skills, to learn your disciplines, and to work with your guides. Like I say, luckily for me, I was a natural born medium. It took me 6 months. But I would say at least sit in circle for a year, and then ask circle if they know of any events or any mediums that, you know, would be willing to have a YTS, YS now, Young Spiritualist Learner, YSL, fucking hell, Scott, to be, you know, tagged along with, so they can learn how to be on rostrum and how to work in places. So
it was YTS, Young Trainee Spiritualist.
Whatever it is, I can't remember. Darren used to call it, hadn't he? I can't remember. So yeah, I would say sit in circle for at least a year, but then try and get them to take you out and do events, especially if you can get into like afternoon teas and stuff like that.
But the biggest thing is doubt yourself.
Yeah, you've got to have that 110%
head,
trust.
Just say it.
Yeah. If
they
they
can't,
can't,
be shocked at how many times it is actually real.
yeah, and if they can't take it, don't get disheartened. You take the evidence back. You ask them to give it you again. If they stick with the same evidence, you say either ask a loved one or just take it with you, and you will understand it in a couple of days or whatever once you've had a bit of a think of it.
Are there boundaries, or do you just say what they want you to say?
As long as you put it
In a nice way.
in the nice way.
But what if the spirit want you to be an arse?
No, you can't be an arse. You have to understand that you have a personal responsibility. So we'll do question, what we on 6 as well, answering in this one. Personal responsibility means that whatever you say, if any actions are taken on that, you are liable. So if you have to pick up on that person's energy, and if you can feel that they ain't right, or they're close to taking life their own, or anything like that, and you know that the message or the evidence is going to push them over the edge, you need to give it, but you also kind of need to give it where you spin it into a positive, so that person then doesn't end up and going doing something stupid. And this is when I say there's a lot that goes in with mediumship, especially if you're a medium that cares like me. You know, you have to listen to that energy that you're working with, but also pick up on your person that you're working for, and make sure you're giving the best evidence you can. And sometimes you do have to kind of say to the spirit world, I ain't saying that, but you don't say it out loud, you say it in your head. And even if they go, yeah, you am, you say, no, I ain't. Because like I say, it's a 50-50 relationship. And and I know I say that, you know, you have to give everything that you're given. No, you don't. There are exceptions. You know, basic stuff you make sure you get across. Stuff that needs to be left alone for a little while, or that's a little bit too raw, you'll just say to your spirit guides, just make sure that that goes when this person goes. Because at the end of the day, they can't force me to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's my personal responsibility to make sure that I give the best energy and evidence I can. Like I've quickly spoke about this on TikTok. The guy who ran Circle up in Bloxwich, some guy had a reading and said that his missus was going to get ill and she was going to pass away before she was 50, and then she got terminally ill, and he spent the last 2 years literally worrying. He lost his hair and everything, worrying that she was going to die. And she didn't die. She's still alive now, and I think she's about 56 now, and she's recovered. She's doing fine. But because he was told by a medium, you know, well, your partner's going to pass on.
That's really bad.
He spent literally about 2.5 years worrying and praying and stuff that she wouldn't die. And Kevin kind of had to explain to him, they shouldn't have said that, because we don't get death dates. We don't. I can honestly say I have never been given anybody's death date. Sometimes they'll give you a bit of a feeling if, you know, you need to kind of build bridges, or, you know, make sure you check in on somebody. That's not always saying that them passing, but sometimes if they're in that kind of situation, they will kind of say, you know, make sure that you get in what you need to say in. But they will never say, well, on the July the 24th at 9:47 and 47 seconds, this Joanne's going to die. You know what I mean? No, never. Never have. And again, we've spoke about this in Circle, and neither has any other medium that I've spoke to about it. So just always be careful with people who give you death dates, because it is kind of like your future, you know. They just tell you whatever they fucking feel, which is wrong.
Are death dates a real thing?
In the spirit world, yeah. We've all got a time to die.
Like a set point?
Yeah. You can't, once your time's up on Earth, that's it. No one's going to save you. No doctor, no fucking magical surgery, that's it. Once your time is up, that is it. That is your time. Whether it be 25, 6 months, 107, your time is up when your time is up, and that's it. From my beliefs, from what I've been told, and from what I work with in the spirit world, yes, we have kind of got a point in life where we've got to get to, and yes, there are set lessons that we're going to have to learn. Whether we do, again, is up to the free will of the human body. But I won't go into deja vu, because then we will be here forever. But there is times where there is splits in the path, and when I say splits, it means that you've either been going down the wrong one, or there is a chance for a better one, or one where it's going to get a little bit worse. And them like branches that kind of segue off and then go down, but you're always heading forward. You can never head back, obviously, because you just can't. But there is just different little branches that branch off to give you an opportunity in life where you can either carry on going down this wrong path, or there is a chance for you to turn around and go somewhere different. Not turn around, turn left and go somewhere different is what I meant. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to call it there. It's gone on a bit longer than I thought it would, but I did tell them once I get explaining, it will go on for a while. But yeah, well, there will be a part 2 coming soon. Yeah. But we'll also have the latest investigation uploaded before the second part of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Wellington
Yeah.
Cemetery.
Yes.
Still yet to go for the EVPs yet.
Yeah, so that's the thing that we're working on.
We've got
And
a
then-
few good things coming up, haven't
Yes, we have.
A few good locations.
Yeah, that I won't name drop.
Okay, guys.
we? Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Thank you. This has been episode 5.
6.
Episode 6.
Yeah.
Soulful Stories.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to drop a like, put a comment in the comment section as well. It really does help the algorithm on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Yes, guys. Peace out.